Hi, this is Mike Rubel, and I recently opened a YouTube channel called Author Rubel for a better reason than that's my name. And the first part of it was catharsis in writing, and um, and I love writing. So for me, I've been writing things for the past several years on things that affect me, affected my life, things that happened in my life. Some of it funny, some of it sad, some of it about love, some of it about love lost, and so forth and so on, or stuff that I just completely made up. So I call them letters from the edge. And the first one that I'd like to read to you is called Best Friends. And so here it goes. We all have acquaintances, people we knew from work or school or a previous job or a partnership. And they'll come running up to you at some social event, yelling your name, pumping your hand while you look at them and wondering who in the hell this is. You try to match the face with the body, and so you stumble to identify him or her. No luck. Maybe they have a new hairstyle, or maybe the guy doesn't have any hair at all, or maybe they gained 50 pounds and you try and move that chubby face together and figure out who that is that you knew in the past. And I say, "Hey, Mike here. Good to see you." And he smiles and says, "Yes, I know, Mike. It's been a long time. Remember that time we," of course, I have no clue what he or she is talking about. They ramble on about the event as if it occurred yesterday and with every nuance and detail. You smile and nod your head and try to pick a spot in the story where you can say, "Oh, yes, I remember that. That was great." And we all have friends that we see during the year whose name you do remember. It's good to see them, but nothing compels you to invite them out for a beer or lunch or a game of golf. You have friends you play bridge with, you golf with, bike or some other social or workplace outing. They're fun to see and have some laughs and go to dinner and otherwise enjoy their company. These friends fill your life with social complexity and amusement, but they're part of the web of life we all weave during the aging process, or through the changing of occupations, or some geographic move that we made. But everyone has a best friend. But it's not possible to have more than five of these. At least that's my very subjective count. They're the ones you can call when you want to cry a little or ask for help. And you know they'll listen to you. They'll drop everything to come to your aid if necessary. It may become we don't see them every day, but when you do, the years melt away and you're young again and you relive your youth. They're a result of some extended setting from high school or college or military or maybe even work. When you lose one of those friends, they are never replaced ever. I lost one of mine who passed away this past December. His death left a big hole in my life. Even though I'll always remember him, it will never be the same. He's irreplaceable. He lived in a small cottage by the ocean just north of Big Sur, California. He worked as an artist there. His home was a converted construction crew structure that had been used when they constructed Highway 1. Now it's covered with ivy, which I always believe held the whole thing together. Over the years, he added rooms out of lumber and window frames he had traded for a painting or two. In the spring, he would toss wildflower seeds into the canyon below the house that bloomed with brilliant colors for most of the year. It was a retreat for me to drive there and be absorbed into the peaceful aura of his humble abode. It didn't matter where he lived or what he did, he was my best friend. We would go to dinner at night and, as usual, get into trouble, a throwback of our earlier days. Late in the evening, we'd go to his home and sit on his makeshift deck with a fire and a steel pot and gaze at the millions of stars that blazed in the nighttime sky, away from the diffusion of the city lights. The deck didn't have a railing, and it ended abruptly. And I asked him one time why he didn't finish it. He said, "Well, I ran out of wood." I guess that's as good an excuse as any. His house was full of critters, mice, and a pet skunk that he even fed. Sleeping on the deck in his library, or so called library, or on a broken down sofa, it was an interesting challenge for sure. The pitter-patter of little feet across the sloping wooden floor would keep you awake or at least nervous during the night. But it was peaceful. No schedule, no deadlines, no pressure, just my best friend and I. It allowed me to recharge my batteries and put my life into perspective. Little did we both know that it would end so abruptly. We'd been best friends for 50 years, but still. At our college reunions, we always reunited and became the young mavens of the past, reliving the days of yesteryear. We created new memories at each event that we would recant the next time we met. One afternoon, we were standing on the balcony of the hotel, looking out at Chesapeake Bay. It was full of sail and power boats that plied the beautiful waters. Both of us had a scotch in a hand, and I proposed a toast. There are damn few cowboys in this world, I said, but you and I are one of them. We laughed at the silliness of the statement, which would be repeated several times in the ensuing years to anyone who really cared or we felt worthy that we would share them with him. I visited him one last time after I received a call stating he had good news and bad news. I said, well, you choose which one you want to tell me first. He paused and he said, I have inoperable brain cancer. Stunned, I asked, what the hell's the good news? There was silence on the line, and then he replied, I'm okay with it. I've lived a full life. I've had great friends and memories, and I guess it's my time to go. Well, I told him I wanted to see him again, but he said he was in bad shape, and maybe the trip north wouldn't be worth my while or not be the best idea. But I insisted, and he said, well, I want to see you again too. So I drove to Carmel, stopped at his favorite Italian restaurant and bought dinners for the two of us, and then stopped at a liquor store to buy our favorite drink, a bottle of scotch. I arrived at the cottage and stopped for a moment to take in the atmosphere and gaze once more at the ivy-colored structure. Once inside, I found him seated on the couch with a cane by his side. I smiled and gave him a hug before I sat down in one of the aged chairs that adorned the house. He smiled and we laughed at things that we talked about, but we skirted the issue of his ailment. When dinner was through, we'd finished half of the bottle of scotch, and I moved the bottle to a rustic counter by the front door that hardly opened because the flooring had heaved over the years, so you could only open the door halfway. So I looked at him and went back and kissed him on the forehead and said, with all sincerity, don't drink that scotch until I come back to see you again. He laughed and with a smile said, good luck. I walked out the door into the chilly night with the smell of the ocean air heavy around me. Standing by my car, I looked around and knew this was the last time I would be here or ever see my friend again. My eyes filled with tears as I got into the car and drove away. My friend, your untimely passing means there's one less cowboy around, never to be replaced, never to be forgotten. You left me standing at the corral as you rode off into the sunset. You were one of a kind for sure, and will be missed by myself and all your friends near and far. If God has a sense of humor and wants an artist in heaven, he'll build you an ivy-covered cabin and let you paint and be part of the landscape of heaven with wildflowers growing around your feet. God bless you.